Hello, Prosperivarians. The best school has come to stay in the city of Calabar. It is called Beryl International School. Take advantage of this opportunity now.
Tell me the best school, Beryl is the best. Tell me the best school.
Hello, good day. How you doing? It's time again for geography. Yes, it's me, Mrs. Omas, and we have a very beautiful topic on the board. Yeah, we have another topic today. Last time we dealt with transportation, and today we are dealing with manufacturing industries in Nigeria. Manufacturing industries in Nigeria. Yes, it's a very, very interesting topic. We're going to be dealing with this in a couple of minutes. So I want to invite you and tell you to pay attention so that you have a lot to gain. Okay, what's the meaning of industry? Industry. Have you heard that word before? Industry. What does it mean? What's coming to your mind? Are you having anything in mind like manufacturing anything? Okay, where we produce things, where we produce gadgets or devices, or where we produce liquids, talking about your refinery. Okay, you are on point, but that's not the definition of the word industry. Okay, we're going to take the definition of the word industry. I'll put that on the board for you to see as we proceed. Here we have the definition of industries on the board. So industries are companies and activities involved in the production of goods and rendering of services. Yes, I know that when you hear the word industry, or what comes to your mind will be production, manufacturing. No, industry also has to do with rendering of services. Like what I'm doing now, I'm teaching. This is a kind of industry. Okay, rendering of services like in the hospital. That one is a kind of industry. Okay, you can see that they are not manufacturing anything in the hospital. All right, and I have another definition on the board. It says an industry can also be defined as a group of manufacturers or businesses that produces a particular kind of goods and services. Okay, and I've also gone further to explain the topic on the board, manufacturing industries in Nigeria. It's a manufacturing industry simply refers to the changing or transformation. So here you know that it has to do with the changing of something. Something has to change from one state to the other. Take for instance crude oil. Now crude oil has to go through the process of changing. That's why you have so many products coming from crude oil now. You have your kerosene coming from crude oil, you have your petrol coming from crude oil, you have grease coming from crude oil, you have gas coming from crude oil. So crude oil has gone, through the process of transformation and change. So you have so many products coming out from there. So it's under the manufacturing industry we're talking about. So the manufacturing industry refers to the changing or transformation of raw material, you know that crude oil is a raw material, into finished products in the factory. In the factory, I know that crude oil, the place where we can, get all those other products I'm talking about is the refinery. Call it the refinery. Okay, now here I'm using the word in the factory. I'm taking that again. It's a manufacturing industry simply refers to the changing or transformation of raw materials into finished products in the factory. Okay, haven't said that, haven't known that now. Industries in Nigeria is something that are not really common. What we used to have those days in Nigeria, we have the arts and crafts. If you go to the north, the west, you see carvings from wood, you see bronze work and all that. Industry, talking about automobile industry, those ones, they just came into the country. Before we used to import cars, okay, from Germany, from China, from Japan. All right, yeah, those industries. We have industries that are new in the country. Well, of course, we have our textile industry. We have a consumer goods industry, talking about your toiletries, your tissue. If you don't know what toiletries are, your bathing soap, your tissue papers, and your body creams. Okay, we are having those industries more in Nigeria now. Now, these industries are classified into different categories. All right, we have the primary industry, we have the secondary industry, we also have the tertiary industry. We're going to be dealing with these industries so that you understand what I mean by primary, secondary, and the tertiary types of industry. I'll be putting that on the board as I explain further. Okay, here we have the classification of manufacturing industries on the board. And number one, like I told you, is the primary industry. We have the one we call the primary industry. We say this involves getting or extracting raw materials, which are natural products from the land or sea. Okay, we can get our raw materials from land or sea. Raw materials like oil, and iron, the oil, that one, this one we can get it from the oil palm tree. We can get this one from granite, coconut, melon. Then we have oil. This one is a natural resource. Then we have timber. This one we can get it from a tree. We have our fish. Okay, now industries, and then primary industry, we have the mining industry, we have the quarrying, we have the fishing, forestry, and the farming industry are all examples of the primary industries. Okay, because these industries, what they do is the extraction of raw materials for other industries to use. Secondly, we're going to the secondary industry. Secondary industry. Now, these are sometimes referred to as manufacturing industries. Okay, these ones, after the primary industries must have gotten the raw materials, they now transfer to the secondary industry for use. Okay, it involves the use of raw materials to manufacture other products, either by manual labor. What do I mean by that? No, we don't use machines here. Either by manual labor or machines. Now, e.g., we have car factory. Okay, we have a car factory. We have the shipbuilding industry. We have the gadgets building. Gadgets like torchlights, televisions, and all that. Okay, number three, we have the tertiary industry. So these are sometimes called service industries. Service industries. They don't produce raw materials. Okay. They don't produce raw materials, and they don't make products. Okay, unlike the primary industry and the secondary industry. They don't produce, they don't make, they don't extract. Now what they do is to render services. Okay, instead they provide services to other people and industries. Examples are your doctors, your teachers, banks, okay, transport, nurses, soldiers, customs, navy, and then you have so many of them coming under that. Now we're moving on to location of industry. Location of industry. Before we cite any industry, what are those things that we need to look at? What are those things that we need to consider? I'll just be putting a few things on the board, and we're going to be explaining them as we move further. Okay, we're looking at the location of industries, and we say that this is the siting of industries in a particular area with the motive of making profit. Well, I hope you know that industries are businesses, so nobody will want to open a business without making profit. Okay, so the motive of any formation of any industry is to make profit. Now let's look at the factors that affect the location of an industry. Okay, number one is the proximity to source of raw material. Raw materials are the first things we need to get if we know that we want to set up any industry. I gave examples of raw materials like timber, fish. We have raw materials like mineral resources. Okay, number two is nearness to market. If you want to cite any industry, you have to consider nearness to market, because the market is a place where you have to take your finished products to sell. You have your buyers in the market. You also have your sellers in the market. Okay, we look at nearness to source of power. Now your power can be in form of your NEPA supply or any other form of power that you're going to use. We're looking at proximity of financial institutions. Okay, you have to take note that you need financial institutions to be close to where you're setting your industry, talking about your banks and your cooperative houses where you can easily access loans. And people approaching your industries can also access loans for them to buy whatever finished products you've manufactured. Okay, looking at adequate transport network. This one is talking about road network, just like we dealt with last week, talking about transportation, good transportation. This is very, very key when it comes to what you need to consider in setting up your industry. There are other things you also need to consider. You need to consider funds. Okay, you also need to consider government policies in the place where you are setting your industry. How is the government policy there? Is it that what they have there is a high rate of taxing that you need to pay and pay and pay, and you're not seeing your profit. You need to consider that as well. You need to consider how open the place is in terms of business, how viable it is in terms of business. You don't want to set up an industry in a place where you will just remain there and be dormant and nothing is happening. Okay, moving further away from that, now we are going to the reasons why industries are important. Okay, why are they important to our economy? Why is it that it is good for us to have industries? Why is it that you notice something that wherever we have industries, you see development coming into such a place? So that's the next thing we're going to know. Okay, here are the importance of manufacturing industries. We have so many importance, but I've been able to list 5 for you. I'm sure if you go through your textbooks, for those of you that are students of Berean International Schools, you will see some other importance in your books, but I've just brought out 5. Okay, number 1, it says they help to promote rapid economic growth in a country. It helps to promote rapid economic growth in a country. Okay, number 2, it says it creates employment opportunities. It creates employment opportunities. Well, of course, you know that wherever there are industries, definitely it's people that will go to those industries to work. Okay, number 3, they make goods available at cheaper rates. Okay, if we have industries in Calabar here that we have industries producing cars, okay, it's going to sell, they are going to sell at a cheap rate for those of us that are in Calabar. By the time they take it out of the state, it's going to become a little bit more expensive because they are going to add the cost of their transportation, transporting those cars out of Calabar. Okay, now infrastructural development. Wherever there are industries, you see the place developing very well. You see good roads, you see hospitals, schools, and everything coming out very well, and that brings about urbanization in that place. Okay, now diversification of the economy, which is number 5. Now, industries help to diversify economy. Take for instance, Nigeria was solely dependent on crude oil. Now, if we have other industries producing cars, producing other gadgets like our electronics, diversifying into other sectors, I think is going to really help us instead of depending solely on crude, to get our revenue, to get our income, to develop our country. Okay, so those are the few importance of manufacturing industry. Like I told you earlier, we have so many of them that I did not list here. Okay, I hope it has been an interesting topic talking about manufacturing industries in Nigeria. We defined the word industry. We also went as far as talking about the classification of industry, where we talked about the primary industry, the secondary industry, and the tertiary industry. We also looked at location of industry, talking about the siting of industries and the factors that affect the location of industry. Before we set up an industry, what are those things that we really need to look at before we set up any industry? And moving away from that, we looked at the importance of manufacturing industries, their importance. Like I told you, I had to list few here. My students, you go to your textbooks, you will see them there, they are listed there. Okay, it's time now for our home activity. I want to give you something to do for me. Pen that down in your notebook and bring it back for me to mark. Like I said, our assignment is on the board, and number 1 says, distinguish between a primary industry and a secondary industry. Distinguish between a primary industry and a secondary industry. Number 2, explain the term manufacturing industry. Number 2, I'm taking it again, explain the term manufacturing industry. And number 3, which is the last thing, highlight the importance of manufacturing industries in Nigeria. Highlight the importance of manufacturing industry in Nigeria. I hope you're taking that down. I hope you're taking it down. Okay, we've come to the end of this lesson. Hope it has been interesting. Hope it has been fun. Okay, until I come your way again next time, I still remain Mrs. Omas. Bye.